Again, with the trial of David Bisard, the Metro police officer accused of being drunk and killing a motorcyclist during an on-duty crash.
Today, the jury is hearing from the top brass of the Metro Police Department and the fellow officers who saw Bisard right after the crash. RTV6 reporter Jack Reinhardt has been in the courtroom in Fort Wayne for the testimony all day and joins us live with those new details. Jack.
As RTV6 was the very first to report last night, the state's lead prosecutor said they would put on a witness in this case that would make a connection between Bisard and alcohol consumption. And just hours ago from the witness stand, that connection was made by a Metro police officer. The first connection made between alcohol and suspended Metro police officer David Bisard was made by fellow canine officer Daniel Ryan. Long after the August 2010 crash and long after the IMPD and FBI investigations, Ryan took the stand and testified about a conversation that he had with the accused officer.
Officer Ryan testified as to his interaction with David Bisard at the scene, which was as we expected. But he also testified to having conversations with David Bisard where Bisard admitted to having several drinks the night before this happened, and specifically to drinking vodka.
When interviewed by Metro police investigators after the crash, Bisard's wife said her husband awoke at 2 a.m. on the eve of the accident to have a drink. She also told him that she said goodbye to him at 8 o'clock the next morning and he was not drunk. Three high-ranking police commanders also took the witness stand. Then Assistant Chief of Police Darrell Pierce, then Deputy Chief Ron Hicks, and then Major John Conley testified that they drove to the crash site where they all interacted with Bisard. Pierce described Bisard as distraught, but all three commanders said they saw no obvious signs of impairment. The prosecutor in the case says the crash site witnesses saw signs of intoxication, but couldn't conceive that Bisard was legally drunk.
The jury heard this morning from then Assistant Chief Pierce, who saw red bloodshot eyes, who saw sweating. He just didn't equate them with intoxication, and he admitted on the stand that they are signs of intoxication and that he didn't interpret them that way.
Now, the proverbial smoking gun has yet to surface. The bloodshot eyes and the sweating can be explained away by the fact that Bisard was struck in the face by an airbag during the crash, and the temperatures that day were in the high 90s. And Ryan, it must be noted, like the three police commanders who testified before him, all said they saw no signs that Bisard was drunk at the crash site. Live in Allen County, Jack Reinhardt, RTV6.